switched to the GoPro. If you guys can tell immediately the quality difference, I'm sorry about that. But I just wanted to try and get some more wide-angle shots of me working underneath the car, so that way it's not like a really zoomed-in perspective of anything. I'm going to be finishing up the transmission mount right up here, and then I'm going to be doing some more of the axle subframe and slowly putting the rest of the car together. Hopefully I can get it to start today. It doesn't seem like it's going to be too long, although a lot of it would be useful if I had a second person, so I might call my dad out for a little bit just to help me lift the subframe and put it in the right spot. And I'll just keep you guys updated and show you some, I guess, time-lapse video of me working on the car. So right now I'm putting the shifter cables back on. Just a lot of stuff up here since I've done a lot of extra wiring and whatnot, but not an issue. Finishing up some of the stuff up top. I just finished torquing down the transmission mount, but one thing to keep in mind when you guys are doing any kind of job like this, something where there's a lot of parts being taken off and put back on, is organization. You always want to label your stuff. This says shifter bolts because they're going to go obviously in the shifter. I have a whole box of them over there with my other intercooler pipes and battery tray, stuff like that. So just an FYI, if you guys are ever going to do something like this, don't get caught with your pants down when you try and figure out where everything goes back into place. So I just finished putting the bolts back in for the shifter cables. Everything's back in. I also put the cables, ones for the reverse lockout over there, and then down here for the speedometer, I believe. The light just turned off. And next is going to be the slave cylinder. I actually have the K-tuned clutch master and slave. The clutch master is like way back here. It was such a pain to do. If you guys know Gerb Productions, he did a pretty good video of installing this. I kind of referenced him so that way I can get mine done pretty quickly. And I'm going to do the slave cylinder and then go underneath the car and then shove the axles in. That's the half shaft just went in. I just put the half shaft in right here, which connects to the other axle, and that's then going to go back into the hub itself. Then I got to put the other side back in, right over here to that side, and then there's just some protective covers so that way nothing gets on it, or this doesn't hit stuff. I got to do that. And then I can start doing some more of the actual subframe itself. So I finished putting in the passenger side axle with the half shaft and everything underneath the car. Went all the way back, and I got it down to here, so I'm just going to put the hub nut on. Make sure I don't cross-thread it, because I'm doing this while I record. And now I have to do the other side. Then really the only thing left is the subframe. It's not going to be too much of a pain. I just have to get it up here first, and then I can use these two spin jacks to get it into place. And before, like I was saying, with all the organization, this is the little bucket that I made. So these are the subframe bolts. This is the ECU cover, this is the battery tray, this is my front motor mount. These are all the clips from my bumper. So I just got the other axle in. Sorry I'm not recording this. It's on like a weird angle and it's kind of awkward to do to get it and then also be standing in a spot that I can still record to show you guys everything. But I got this side in. I got the nut on and everything, but I'm gonna have to torque these down later. So next up, I think I'm gonna grab my dad to get the subframe up with me. So I'm going to change the oil on my car next instead of putting the subframe up because the subframe will take up a lot of space. Takes up a lot of space, and it's kind of a pain to get to the oil filter. If you've ever changed oil on this car, or I don't know about the base Civic, but the SI is a pain in the ass to do. Go really quickly, or at least just drain it and get the this filter out in the meantime, because it's kind of a pain in the ass to get the to the filter if you have the subframe in still. So since I already have it out, it's still over here, I might as well take advantage of that. So I'm going to do that really quick. I need a wrench. That's the motor mount. Oh no, I'm such a noob, I dropped it in the oil. The car hasn't been warmed up in a while, so the oil's really thick. I also don't use the recommended 530. I don't use the recommended 530 because now that it's turboed, everyone says to step up to a slightly thicker oil, so I run Rotella T6 540. It's a diesel truck oil, which is kind of weird, but it has some additives in it that are good to have lubrication-wise. It has zinc and stuff like that, which usually you can't get in most oils, but because it's technically for diesels and they need that extra lubrication, you can kind of get away with it. So it is really thick and coming out really slow. So I will just cut to the next part. Hey guys, so I just finished draining the oil. I'm going to change the filter in 2 seconds. But the oil came out really dark. Not horribly dark, but it was definitely good. It didn't smell too weird, which might sound weird to some of you guys if you've ever thought, why would your oil smell weird? If you run a car in E85, which this car primarily runs on E85, it can get into the oil from blow-by, stuff like that, and E85 attracts moisture, and you don't want water in your oil at all. That's horrible. It can get it to make it kind of like that milkshaky, frothy, almost looks like a blown head gasket kind of stuff. So you definitely want to be conscious of changing your oil, and if you're going to beat on the car a lot, you might want to change the oil earlier than usual, which is kind of annoying, but it's just preventative maintenance. You know, you don't want something bad to happen to your car just because you're too lazy to change the oil. So I'm going to do the filter in 2 seconds. This is just the weirdest angle for a oil filter to be on. It's basically straight. It doesn't look like it right now because my engine is not really set up with all the motor mounts. It's missing two right now, the front and the rear, because the subframe is out. But otherwise, there's usually like the whole wheel well plastic here, so you have to like go around to get this. It's such a pain in the ass to get to, especially now that it has the downpipe, which is like right against it. Makes it so much harder to get to. What else is the worst thing in the world is that the oil gets all over part of the axle. So now that I kind of think about it, I should have done the oil before I put the passenger side axle in, but it's not the end of the world. I'll just clean it off, just rotate a little bit, and get all that crap off. I need some rags. So I'm just cleaning up the axle right now because there was some oil dripped on it from the filter. If you couldn't really see, it might have been too dark. and then I'm going to put the new filter in. I use the K&N filters, the HP 1010. It's the same size for actually a lot of cars. My friend's Evo has the same one, so if one of us need a filter in a pinch, we can always share, which is nice. But I like these because you could use a wrench if you need them, but K&N's a pretty trusted brand, and otherwise I usually use Purelator or something like that. I never use Fram. Apparently they have a bad rap. So one other thing to check when you do change your oil filter is you should make sure that the filter still has the O-ring on it, otherwise you'll have the O-ring still attached to the engine, and if you put a filter with an O-ring on it on top of a stuck O-ring, it's not going to seal right and you'll leak oil, and you definitely don't want to do that. But you also, when you change your oil, you want to take some fresh oil and put it on the O-ring just to get it from being so dry. Just a tiny bit, nothing crazy. And like I was saying before, I use Rotella T6. I get these giant 2.5 gallon ones from, depends on where we go sometimes. Sometimes we go to AutoZone, sometimes go to like Walmart if they have it. I'll totally grab it. They always have good deals. And I sometimes try and put a little bit of oil inside of the filter, just so that way it's not totally dry. Also with these cars, if you take the wheel off and you take this plastic wheel well out, it's kind of easy to get to, but if it's on the ground, it's still a pain in the butt. So having a lift is amazing. I know not everyone has the ability to have one, but luckily I do. So I do a lot of the oil changes for my friends or my girlfriend or my parents, especially if my dad's too lazy to do one. But that's basically it. I just have to fill the oil up top, and then we're going to put the subframe in. So I was trying to get the front motor mount in, but the entire subframe is slightly pushed backwards. I need to get it to go forwards a little bit, so I'm trying to put the main 4 bolts in for the subframe, and hopefully that will kind of center it, and then I can get everything else in the rest of the way. So I will keep you guys updated on this process. So I got the subframe back up. I got all 4 of these pins in, or not pins, but the main subframe bolts. Now the only thing I have to do is get the front motor mount and the rear motor mount. It's like right up here, and the other one's right back here. I have to get those in, but the whole engine, when you take everything out, if it sits like this, when you take the engine out, the whole thing kind of leans backwards because there's a lot of weight on the back with the turbo. So I'm going to use this ratchet strap and essentially pull the motor back to where it should be, and then I'll be able to put the bolts in and everything. Did that work? Let's see back here. Oh, that did it, guys. Big issue was this rear motor mount. It's like exactly the width of the bracket, so if it's even like slightly cocked to one direction, it really does not want to go into place. I'm not sure if you were able to see the whole thing move. So the subframe is officially on. I torqued down those 4 main bolts. The only thing really left to do is just tighten down and torque down the axle nuts, put the steering rack supports back together, and then battery and intercooler pipes. So I will try and do that by the end of today, so that way I can at least get a start up for the video. So I'm taking a quick break. Going to go bring my girlfriend some food and get myself some food. I've been out there for like 4 hours maybe. I probably could have sped through it a little bit more if I wasn't filming, but I want to make sure to get some content for you guys. Also, I know some of it's going to be a little bit of like a how-to, so if anyone's curious you can watch it, although it's probably going to be sped up a little bit so that way it's not like a 40-minute long video. I'm going to try and go back out there afterwards and finish up and see if I can get the car started, even if it's just to start it just for a sound clip and just for the satisfaction of being able to do it. But the next video is definitely going to be some more startup and driving, so we'll see what happens when I get back. The video might end here, we'll see. Yeah, that didn't happen. I decided to cut the video into 2, it was getting a little long. So, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys want to see anything else. Let me know if that was a little too in-depth or if that was just right. Let me know if you leave your laundry door open and makes it look like your room is really looks like a basement. Also, the other video will be up, and then I will have another video shortly of the break-in of the clutch and whatnot. So, the other half of this video will be up probably the next day after. I just need to edit the second half.